Peace be upon you. Have you ever got the feeling that you were being watched while you were playing Gmod, Team Fortress 2, or any other kind of Source game? Not by someone, but something that goes beyond human. You can see its silhouette in the corner of your eye, but it always somehow disappeared right as you looked at it. Well, this is pretty much the whole Interloper series idea, and today we'll be covering it. I won't be going into full details about the whole thing, but if you really like it, you can go watch the Watch Show's video after seeing this one. So, Interloper is a web series made by Anomi on the 25th October of 2022, and it quickly gained attention for one simple reason. I think that you all already heard of the Source engine. It's pretty much where games like Team Fortress 2, Counter-Strike and many other Valve games were made. But the thing with this engine is that whenever you play a game made with it, it quickly gets pretty scary when you're alone. And this feeling becomes even stronger on Half-Life 2. People could have sworn seeing shadow figures looking at them. Although it's most probably a myth, this web series is like, what if all this was real? And it pretty much got an idea of what Interloper is. And now with all of this clear, we can finally get into the Interloper mystery. So without further ado, let's get into it. The mystery starts on a 2005 Half-Life 2 forum, when a user called the Virtuoso starts a thread by stating, quote,
"Anyone see that weird graffiti in Ravenholm? It's in the beginning part and the dark alley part. Very creepy if you ask me. Is this a glitch or what? And when you walk up to it there's a weird noise? Is this the G-Man?"
And this is where the main character of our story starts the investigation of the Interloper mystery. And on November 11th, he starts to search for the graffiti. He finds it in the alleyway, and like stated in the forum, the graffiti pretty much resembles the G-Man. Also, this graffiti is simply a modified version of the original one on screen. There, the player decides to use the hammer editor. For those who don't know, that is a tool that is used to decompose and make maps, and it will be used a lot in this series to uncover hidden secrets and messages. And what the player would like to do is to move the graffiti upwards to see it fully. And when he does that, he discovers that this graffiti is actually corrupted. And after installing a copy of this decal on an archive website, he opens it in the text editor to find hidden messages. And clearly all of this is intentional. The most possible reason to how all of this happened is most likely because one of the devs decided to put this here. But why? For those who don't know, the two messages here are commands. In Source game there is this thing called console. You can do things like flying, slowing time and many more. The first command doesn't work, but when he puts in the second command, about 99% of you must be thinking, what is this? Before I explain anything, I need you to know what is a demo recording. Typing a certain command in any Source game lets you record your gameplay. Typing record starts the demo, and typing stop ends it. And you can replay this footage as many times as you want. And so what the player saw after putting the command was a demo. And I think to note here is that a few seconds after typing the command, this message appears.
"Congratulations and welcome. Please enter with caution. You are not welcome."
Which is pretty strange and vague. Why would anyone put this in the game? And something even weirder is that the player didn't even record those demos. They seem to be randomly generated. So the player keeps typing this command over and over again in hopes of finding something interesting. Most of these demos are just sped up gameplay, and this happens around 90% of the time. There are some rare instances where you can see the player outside of the map, and others where you can see him walking randomly, and they look like you gave a baby a keyboard and made him play Half-Life 2. Occasionally you can generate random maps. They usually don't make any sense, but it's a good thing to know. And something I forgot to mention is that this command works with every game made with Source. That means we can try it on Team Fortress 2, but most of these demos are pretty similar to the Half-Life ones. It's either the player wandering or just him getting out of bounds to kill himself. However, when typing this command on Counter-Strike, something very interesting happens. What you saw there is a Type 5 demo. I'll explain it later, but what you need to know is that these demos are extremely rare, and this demo really captures the feeling I told you about earlier. Having the awful feeling of something or someone watching you. This demo is also really unique because of its weirdly realistic movements. It almost really looks like someone is in the game. Something you might have also noticed is that before the G-Man appears, you can hear this sound effect. This is most likely a signal that he has appeared in the map. The player in the demo tries to shoot this G-Man, but he fails and gets sent out of bounds. You can see its silhouette hiding, looking from afar. It tries to get out of bounds, but it seems like something is pulling him. Right before anything happens, the demo ends. Also, if you still didn't make the connection, this G-Man looks pretty similar to the Umbrella Man from the graffiti. At this point, we can't make sense of any of this, but maybe if we keep searching for more Type 5 demos, we could get some answers. On the Half-Life 2 forum I talked about earlier, two similar demos were uploaded. One called Spooky Coast and the other Misty. Spooky Coast is a demo of Half-Life 2 and the other one is most likely a demo of Counter-Strike, but they were unfortunately lost and the only thing left of them are their images. However, the player finds another Type 5 demo, and I know this is the moment we've been waiting. He found one on Team Fortress 2. You can see a scout in the 2-4 intel room, and it's darker than usual. When he goes around the corner, he sees the Heavy doing a A-pose, and it really looks like a Thief to Anomaly meme. Turning back, he can see a Heavy lurking in the shadows, but when he goes to see the Heavy in the corner, he's looking at them and the demo ends. One important thing to note here is that before the demo ends, we can hear the same sound effect that the G-Man does when he appears. Unfortunately, after 6 AM, the Interloper command stops working. When he goes back to the alley to check on the sprite, it mysteriously disappears. Before the player decides to give up, he managed to find one of the lost Type 5 demos, and here's what he found. In this demo, we can see the player approaching the building. In the window, he can see Half-Life citizens wandering around, exactly like the other demos we've seen earlier. When going to the next window, she suddenly gets attacked by a possessed citizen, and again we can hear the G-Man sound effect. The player gets jump scared and set into the water. There she sees about 6 G-Mans. And the good thing to note here is that we aren't playing Gordon Freeman, but we're actually playing Female 01, which is one of the many citizens of Half-Life 2. She gets pushed out of bounds right before the demo ends. And that is pretty much episode 1. Moving on to episode 2. The next episode begins 1 year after the incident. After countless attempts of using the Interloper command, it finally works. and the modified G-Man Graffiti is back, but he has until 6 AM to investigate as much as he can. As I said earlier, type 5 demos are the rarest, but what about the other types? The first type is pretty common. It's pretty much a demo of the player spinning like a TF2 bot. They are about a few seconds and they happen about 80% of the time. The second type is a demo of the player being out of bounds, and they usually die before the demo ends, and they happen about 12% of the time. The third type is where the player just keeps fumbling around. It doesn't do anything in particular and he just wanders around. The fourth type is where the player plays properly. As an example, in Portal he actually solves the puzzle. And finally, type 5 are the ones we saw earlier. The player still has the files of the demos, but they are somewhat corrupted. He also uploaded them on Google Drive if you wanna play them. Some people on the previous video asked if all of this was VR, and it seems to be likely not, because the player can fully interact with the map. Plus the VR only captures the upper body. Meanwhile, as you can see in the type 5 demo, they can move their full body. Now that this is out of the way, the player tries the interloper command on other games. On Half-Life 2 episode 1 and 2, the demos are pretty similar to the Half-Life 2 ones, and we get the same results in other games. Although gmod doesn't seem to work. To use the interloper command on gmod, you'll need to install an old version. But either way, the demos are still the same. But the scariest and most important thing of this whole series happens in Portal.
Oh look, we got one. Look. Oh, what? Oh. Do you see that? I just did that. Speaking of control, look, I can crouch. Okay, WASD doesn't move. Hey, it's our guy. Hey, guy. And that looks weird. What is that? Is there anything else of note? Yeah, I know, right? I don't think the chamber looks like this. It looks weird. Oh. Is that the player? Interesting. Oh.
The player, as usual, tries the interloper command on Portal. There's pretty much no time left, but the player doesn't give up. A few seconds before the timer ends, he gets a type 5 demo. The timer ends, but instead of ending the demo, he's now able to play the demo, which is normally impossible. He's playing again the Citizen, but not so long after he gets out of his character. He's able to no-clip, and thanks to the shadow, we are able to see his player model. It's the same player model we use in the Hammer editor. It's mostly used to show the player's spawn point in a map, but right now he's somehow playing him. A bit far away, he sees the actual player, and it looks like after the timer ended, she got frozen in time. But it's here that we get the scariest part of this series so far.
What's the name? It's like show trigger toggle. What?
He got jump scared by the modified G-Man. The game promptly crashes, and any attempt of launching the game after this fails. And that is pretty much the end of the first 2 episodes. If you want me to do a part 2, you can comment it down below, like and subscribe. And on this note, I'll see you in the next video. Bye.